Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Now, there was some talk of Swami Yogeshananda.
Yes,
What?
I've known him since Ganges.
Yes, and so have you been in touch with him lately?
No, not lately. Some time ago, I had called him. He had his birthday. I saw the
Yes,
pictures.
yes. Jillian very kindly shared the picture, yes.
Yes,
So,
and yes.
So we all we know is that the Swami was well enough to come to the table.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
And that he was, and that we know from Swami Dhyana Yogananda that he has lucid times and other times when he seems to be in another realm, where he's talking to people that others can't see and so on, which of course anyone who has studied the process of death understands that this often happens to people who are nearing the threshold, that they are in the presence of people that we can't see because their vision has opened up. So we're studying the life of Holy Mother, and we just got through some discussion about Swami Premananda and his relationship with the Mother. Now we're back to some narrative by Swami Chetanananda. Nowadays, some people do not look after their elderly parents who brought them into this world and raised them. They don't realize how much suffering and trouble a mother undertakes to bring up a child. In one of the hymns on the Divine Mother, Shankara says, "O Mother, a bad son may sometimes be born, but never has there been a bad mother. An ocean has its bottom and its limits, but a mother's affection is bottomless and limitless. The difference between an ordinary mother and Holy Mother is that an ordinary mother thinks that her children came from her body, so that they belong only to her. Holy Mother knew that all human beings originated from her, and all are her children." I'm going to read that again because the distinction is so important to us. Because if we can really and genuinely think of ourselves as Mother's child, it frees us up in ways that Swami will explain. An ordinary mother thinks that her children came from her body, so that they belong only to her. Holy Mother knew that all human beings originated from her, and all are her children. She demonstrated pure and unselfish love to humanity. Ramakrishna left a group of wonderful children who looked after Holy Mother more than they did their own biological mothers. The relationship between the Master's disciples and Holy Mother was so loving and sweet that it should be the paradigm of mother-child relationships all over the world. I'm going to read that again because this is Swami Chaitanananda giving us a direct instruction. The relationship between the Master's disciples and Holy Mother was so loving and sweet that it should be the paradigm of mother-child relationships all over the world. Swami Nirlepananda, I think that's right, Nirlepananda, described how the Master's disciples respected Holy Mother. We noticed that when the Master's disciples came to bow down to the Mother, she became established in her real self. And when these great ones left, it would take some time before she came down from the higher plane to the normal state. Swamiji saw that the Mother was Adya Shakti, the primordial power. Swamiji saw this, that Swami Vivekananda saw that the Mother was Adya Shakti, the primordial power. He recognized that a jiva attains the knowledge of Brahman by her grace only. After initiating Sudhir, later Swami Shuddhananda, Swamiji asked Holy Mother, "Mother, please bestow your blessings on this boy." Swami Brahmananda said to Shuddhananda, "Sudhir, I can give you the experience of Samadhi, but the Mother can do it better and more easily." Now, why are we told these stories? We're told these stories because of if we have the aspiration for Samadhi and liberation, if we have that aspiration, what is Brahmananda saying? He doesn't say, go to the Master. He doesn't say, come to me. He doesn't say, come to Swamiji. He says, go to the Mother. Go to the Mother. And the Master himself, Sri Ramakrishna, said that Mother holds the key. So this is an instruction to us. In 1906, Swami Sarada said to a young man, "Today you have received the Mother as a guru. If you practice spiritual disciplines according to her instructions, you will realize that the Mother is the Divine Mother herself. But you will have to work hard. Some say, I have seen the Mother and received the mantra from her, so I don't need to practice any more sadhana. In one sense, they are right. But truly, those who say that are deceitful. In one sense, they are right. But truly, those who say that are deceitful. The Mother opens the door for liberation. Now you will have to go and reach that door." Saradananda was not mentioning that the Mother did also say to people who told her that they just couldn't do what she said. She said, well, it's all right, I'll do it for you. But it's not, Is that Swayam? No, it's not. I'm sorry. I
I
thought.
do see her name.
Shankara, this is Naveen.
Yes, Naveen.
Yes, and Swam is home. She's listening.
Oh, very good. I'm so glad to
Thank,
know she's home and that she's on the mend.
thank you.
Yes. I thought I saw her name at the bottom of the screen, but and it was her name.
Everybody, and thank you all so much for the love and the patience.
All right, dear. Well, we're so glad to have you with us, and Naveen too, of course. It's easy to forget the loved one when one of a pair is sick, but we know that Naveen has been in your corner 1,000%.
Thank you.
So Swami Saradananda was trying to encourage people to take a little responsibility for themselves and not put it all on the mother. So he says, the mother opens the door for liberation. Now you will have to go and reach that door. Before we go on, are there any questions or comments about that, about this business of mother and samadhi and liberation? Anything that anyone wants to ask or contribute?
Just want to know, Brother Shankara,
Yes, Sham.
are there any examples of people who got samadhi through Holy Mother?
Oh, many, many, many. Please read, if you want to read the most detailed um, uh, biography of the mother that has many of these details in it, read Swami Gambirananda's, the Swami who became a president of the order. He wrote the most detailed, and it's very detailed, but there are many examples of people who achieved samadhi due to the mother's grace. Many examples. One, of course, that comes immediately to mind is, I don't remember his name, but Swami Swahananda's father. Swami Swahananda's father was a disciple of Holy Mother. And he not only achieved samadhi, when one must assume liberation, but one of his sons, Swahananda, which Holy Mother said would happen, that one of his sons would become a Swami of the order, and that became Swami Swahananda.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sham, I do highly recommend for anyone who wants to know the most detailed biography of the mother to read Gambirananda's book. It's about 3 inches thick. You know, it's a quite a book, but it's well worth your time. Anything else from anyone? All right. In 1913, speaking of Swami Swahananda, this is his guru, Swami Vijayananda. In 1913, Swami Vijayananda came to Udbodhan House to see Holy Mother. He said, I was seated in Sharat Maharaj's room downstairs. I got a call from upstairs to bow down to the mother. While I was walking up each step, I could feel the lotus of each center of Kundalini opening it up. Now here's an answer to your question, Cham. As I was walking up each step, I could feel the lotus of each center of Kundalini opening up. My whole body and mind were flooded with bliss. So here's Swami Vijayananda's testimony of having gone into Samadhi as a result of just going up the steps to see Mother. He hadn't even seen her yet. As I was walking up each step, I could feel the lotus of each center of Kundalini opening up. My whole body and mind were flooded with bliss, which of course is the definition of Savikalpa Samadhi. In 1918 at Balaram Mandir, Swami Turiyananda said to Dr. Durgapada Ghosh, a disciple of the Mother, "Doctor, what are you seeing? What do you think about the Mother? Is it enough to receive a mantra in the ear if there is no practice of sadhana? It is sure and certain that you will get liberation at the end, and it is sure and certain that you will get liberation at the end, and it is registered. But if you sincerely practice sadhana by repeating the mantra, you will be blessed by tasting the bliss of Jivan Mukta, liberation in life, which means Samadhi, of course. Then only you will realize who the Mother is and leave the world happily." So there's your answer, Sham. There's two instances right there in which the two of the Master's direct disciples talk about one having his own experience of Samadhi, and the other, Turiyananda, talking to this doctor, saying, if you practice, it will happen. Swami Adbhutananda said, "Mother knows my past and future. She knows everything. What is the point in writing to her just for the sake of appearance? What is the necessity of writing to one who knows everything about my past, present, and future? Will the Mother become a stranger to me just because I do not go to see her? You ask how I look upon the Mother. She is Mother Lakshmi, yet she is sometimes Sita." So Mother Lakshmi, of course, is the wife of Vishnu, is the divine spiritual consort of Vishnu, and does not take human form except as these consorts of these companions of the avatars, the other half of the avatar, if you will. I look upon Mother, she is Mother Lakshmi, yet she is sometimes Sita, who of course is incarnated. And that he was speaking of Holy Mother. In 1907, Holy Mother came to Kolkata from Jairambati to attend Durga Puja at Girish's house, and she stayed at Balaram's house for a month. Latu, Swami Adbhutananda, lived in a room at the right of the main entrance. While entering the house, the Mother saw her dear Latu. She inquired, "Hello, my son Latu, how are you?" Latu replied in his unpolished, rustic language, "Go away, Mother. You're a dignified lady. Why have you come to the outer apartment to speak to me? Please go upstairs right away. I will not speak to you here. You could have sent for me, and I would have come up to see you. Mother, I am your servant, you know. Now, here's what we have to understand about these kinds of conversations. Each of these disciples of the Master was completely honest and sincere. There was not a one iota of posing in what they were saying. So just listen again. So while she was staying at Balaram's house, Latu Maharaj, or Swami Adbhutananda, was staying in a room on the ground floor, just to the right of the main entrance. While entering Balaram's house, the mother saw her dear Latu. She inquired, "Hello, my son Latu, how are you?" Latu replied in his unpolished rustic language, "Go away, mother. You are a dignified lady. Why have you come to the outer apartment to speak to me? Please go upstairs right away. I will not speak to you here. You could have sent for me and I would have come up to see you. Mother, I am your servant, you know." Laughing, Holy Mother went upstairs to her room because she believed every word he was saying. He meant it. As long as Holy Mother stayed at Balaram's house, she sent prasad to Latu every day. Other devotees would go to see the Holy Mother, but Latu stayed in his room. Some devotees misunderstood him because he did not go to pay his respects to the mother. One day he told them, "Look, is it so easy to understand the mother? Just imagine, she accepted the master's worship. Only the master knew the real nature of the mother, and Swamiji understood a little. She is Mother Lakshmi herself. It needs a lot of austerity to understand her grace." The day arrived when Holy Mother was leaving for Jairambati. All the devotees went to bow down to the mother upstairs, but Latu did not go. He was pacing in his room and muttering to himself, "Who is a mother or father to a monk? He is free from all Maya." When the mother was coming down the steps, she overheard what Latu was saying. When she reached his door, she said, "Dear Latu, you will not have to accept me, my son." Immediately, Latu sprang from his room and fell at the mother's feet and began to sob. Seeing her child Latu cry, tears came from the mother's eyes. Latu took the corner of his chadar and began to wipe the mother's tears. He said to her with a choked voice, "Mother, you're going to your father's house. You should not cry. Sharat will bring you back soon. Don't cry, mother. Don't. Is it proper for one to cry when one departs?" This touching departure reminds us of Latu's childlike simplicity and deep love for the mother. He was the first disciple whom the master introduced to the mother in Dakshineshwar, and he remained devoted to her throughout his life. Any comments or questions about what we've read so far? Anything at all from anyone about all of these wonderful things that have been said about the mother and her relationships with the master's disciples, Vijayananda, Adbhutananda, Turiyananda, others?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Sham.
was Latu able to speak Bengali?
Yes, but he was a Bengali, and uh, he was a village boy and never learned to read and write. Sri Ramakrishna tried to teach him to read and write, but he never learned to read and write, and always spoke in a very rough Bengali, village Bengali. This Swami Chaitananda characterized it as rustic, a country boy.
Yeah.
So he spoke Bengali very, capably, but from that perspective. So yeah, he was, but he never, he never did learn to read and write. The master
Th-
tried his best to teach
Thank you.
him. There's a photograph um, of Holy Mother here, Sarada Devi at Udbodhan House. And I'm going to read the caption. 1909, when Brahmachari Ganan showed Saradananda the photo above, the Swami remarked, "You have shown the mother with one leg longer than the other. Please take a photo showing the upper part of her body." Told by Swami Ishanananda. Told by Swami Ishanananda. So this next chapter, chapter 24, Mother of the Ramakrishna Order. So there's a hymn by Swami Saradananda. As the power to burn dwells in fire, so Sarada dwells in Ramakrishna as his Shakti, the cosmic power. I bow down to that mother who is the embodiment of knowledge. I'll read that again. Many of the monks of the order wrote hymns to the mother. This is by Swami Saradananda. As the power to burn dwells in fire, so Sarada dwells in Ramakrishna as his Shakti, the cosmic power. I bow down to that mother who is the embodiment of knowledge. One day in 1884, Ramakrishna was seated in his room at Dakshineshwar, talking about the three salient disciplines of the Vaisnava religion. Chaitanya taught his disciple Sanatan, "Listen, O Sanatan, there is no other dharma than practicing compassion for all living beings, having love for God's name, and serving the devotees." So there's these three aspects. Listen, O Sanatan, there is no other dharma than practicing compassion for all living beings, 1, having love for God's name, 2, and serving the devotees, 3. Reflecting upon these three teachings, the master repeated the word compassion and then went into Samadhi. After a while, he returned to normal consciousness and said to the devotees, "How foolish to speak of compassion. Man is an insignificant worm crawling on the earth, and he is to show compassion to others? This is absurd. It must not be compassion, but service to all. Recognize all people as God's manifestations and serve them. Only Narendra, later Swami Vivekananda, understood the implication of these words and resolved to implement this practical Vedanta, serving human beings as God. Now, if you read about this Swami's stay at Kanyakumari, the southern tip of India, he went and swam to what was then just a bare rock. It now has a temple on it to Vivekananda, but this large rock, just this, it's part of the continent, of course. It's a little island surrounded by water. The Swami went there and meditated for 3 days, Vivekananda. And it's there that he developed this this thought that Sri Ramakrishna had given him into the serviceful way that the Ramakrishna order deals with human beings. So only Narendra, later Swami Vivekananda, understood the implication of these words and resolved to implement this practical Vedanta, serving human beings as God. After returning from the West, Swami Vivekananda officially inaugurated the Ramakrishna Math and Mission on 1 May 1897 in Calcutta. As of December 2013, it has 179 centers all over the world. Swamiji understood the difficulty of organizing, but at the same time, he realized that no religion can function or spread without an organization. The only things that can keep organized work from becoming corrupt, he felt, are purity of life and renunciation. In 1890, Holy Mother visited Bodh Gaya. There she noticed how comfortably the members of the local monastery lived. The members of a local monastery lived, with all their physical needs supplied. She later recalled, "Ah, how much I weep, how often I prayed to the Master. That is why you see all these monasteries established by his grace." Immediately after his passing away, the children renounced the world and sought out a temporary shelter. But soon after, they began to wander about independently. I felt very sad and prayed to the Master, "O Master, you came down to earth, had fun with a few companions, and then departed in a happy mood. Was that the end of everything? If so, what was the need of assuming a human body and going through all this suffering? I have seen many sadhus at Varanasi and Vrindavan who live on alms and seek shelter under trees. There is no dearth of sadhus like them. I cannot bear the sight of my children who have renounced everything in your name, going from door to door for a morsel of food. I fervently pray to you that those who give up the world in your name may not lack simple food and clothing. Let them live together with you and your teachings as the center. Those who are afflicted with the sorrows of the world will come to them and obtain peace by listening to your teachings. That is the purpose of your advent, isn't it so? I cannot control myself when I see them drifting about helplessly." Afterwards, Naren slowly organized all this. Now, if you want to see a perfect objectification of just what the mother's prayers manifested, Just look at this place here. Just look at this little Vedanta center established in the Master and Mother's name. Do we lack for anything? No, by their grace, no. Nothing. It is, I cannot begin to tell you how moving I find this particular passage, because I saw it from 1973 to 2010 in the Vedanta centers of the Vedanta Society of Southern California. I saw it in the centers that Swami Swahananda started and how they flourished and supported the sadhus and nuns that staff them, whether it be Ridgely or Washington, D.C., or Swami Yogeshananda founding this place. Mother's prayers bore this fruit. And as was pointed out by Vivekananda, as long as the purity remains, then there will be no difficulties. Any comments or questions before we go on? We've got lots of time. Don't be shy. Okay. The subhead for this next section of chapter 24 is the role of the mother. Who manages a household? Swami Vivekananda replied, in the Western home, the wife rules. In an Indian home, the mother rules. In many religions, God is worshipped as the male principle. But in India, God is worshipped not only as father, but also as mother. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, worship the mother as God. Why? Vivekananda replied, because she made herself pure. She underwent harsh penances, sometimes to keep herself as pure as purity can be. It is the mother's love and affection, compassion and selflessness, patience and forbearance that hold the family members together. When the Master's young disciples wanted to be monks and form the Ramakrishna order, they had to go through insurmountable difficulties. Holy Mother stood behind them. In his lecture, My Life and Mission, given in America on 27 January 1900, I highly recommend you read that, by the way. The title is My Life and Mission. I think it's reprinted in Inspired Talks. It certainly is in the complete works. So in that talk, Vivekananda acknowledged the role of Holy Mother after the Master's passing away. Quote, there came a terrible time for me personally and for all the other boys as well. That one's sympathy brought blessing and hope. She was a woman, my Master's wife. We all have great respect for her. Holy Mother was Ramakrishna's first disciple, and he transmitted the results of his spiritual journey, his sadhana, to her. All the results of his spiritual disciplines over that 12-year period. For those of you who haven't read about those spiritual disciplines, they're in the second section of the book, The Great Master, or The Divine Play of Sri Ramakrishna, two translations of Swami Saradananda's biography of the Master. He transmitted the results of his sadhana to her. Later, he left his spiritual power and legacy to his disciples. Gradually, the disciples realized that the Master's power was working through Holy Mother. They were identical. During her lifetime, Holy Mother was the Shakti, or power, behind the order. That power is still working invisibly, although Holy Mother was not involved in the administration of the order. Swami Brahmananda, Swami Saradananda, and the other leaders always consulted her on crucial issues. She watched over the monks' physical, mental, and spiritual welfare. Her practical knowledge and common sense guided them in adjusting to community life in the monastery, and she gave shelter in Udbodhan house to those who could not get along with others. By that he meant Radhu and Sarala and so on. Her spiritual power, unselfish love, and maternal affection transformed the lives of many undisciplined monks. However, she disciplined without compromise those who deviated from the ideal of the Ramakrishna order. She also lifted their minds to higher realms through her spiritual power and compassion. Her loving service and sweet behavior, forgiveness, and gentleness overwhelmed those monks, and they obeyed her implicitly. And you can find this, for example, in the development of that monastery that's close to Jairambati. I've forgotten the name of it now. It's on the road from Jairambati to Kamarpukur and then Calcutta and so on. You see how carefully she fashioned that monastery if you read the stories. Regarding the monastic ideal, she said that those who could not uphold this ideal should marry rather than pollute the purity of the order. Regarding the monastic ideal, she said that those who could not uphold this ideal should marry rather than pollute the purity of the order. She initiated and recruited many monks and gave ochre robes to some of them, who later spread Ramakrishna's mission in India as well as abroad. She foresaw that there would be temples and monasteries at Kamarpukur and Jairambati, and she made arrangements for them during her lifetime. She was behind the establishment of the Udbodhan, Jairambati, Koalpura, that's the monastery I was trying to think of. She was behind the establishment of the Udbodhan, Jairambati, Koalpura, and Kamarpukur centers. She also encouraged the monks to do relief work during natural calamities. As a mother bird protects her fledglings from the storm by spreading her wings, so the mother protected the master's disciples from various vicissitudes. In 1899, Swami Brahmananda had a desire to practice in 1889. Now, this is just 3 years after the master's passing away. In 1889, Swami Brahmananda had a desire to practice austerities in the western part of India. The mother was then at Jairambati. When she came to know of his intention, she wrote to Balaram Basu, "I hear that Rakal wants to go to the western part of India to practice austerities. The last time he did this, in Puri, he suffered from the cold. It will be better if he goes in February after the winter. But if his desire is strong, then I have nothing to say." But notice she provided the guidance. This approval was enough for Brahmananda, and he left for Tapasya in December. Holy Mother was not a selfish or possessive mother, overly attached to her children or keeping them too close to herself. She gave sannyasa to some disciples and then sent them away to the Himalayas for tapasya. Tapasya means spiritual disciplines, a life of relatively intense austerities, not the kind of thing you read about in the Upanishads. It wasn't necessary for them. She even gave them permission to go to foreign countries to spread Sri Ramakrishna's message. Holy Mother said to Swami Girijananda, "My mother was very fond of Sharat. He came to me for permission to go to America. I blessed him and said, 'Don't be afraid. The Master is always protecting you.' When Sharat left, my mother said to me, 'Look, Saru, being a mother, why did you give permission to Sharat to go far away beyond the 7 seas and the 13 rivers? Your heart is as hard as a shovel.'" Is that what, as hard as a stone? I'm sorry. Your heart is as hard as a stone. And of course, that wasn't true at all. Swami Vivekananda had asked Saradananda, Sharat, to come to America. And so the mother gave her permission and her protection. Holy Mother tied the monks to her with unfathomable love and affection. She watched over their physical needs as well as their spiritual welfare. Swami Vijayananda recalled, toward the end of the summer of 1893, Holy Mother was staying at Nilambar's garden house in Belur. She lived on the 2nd floor with Golap Ma and Yoga. She lived on the 2nd floor with Golap Ma and Yogan Ma. Swamis Yogananda and Trigunatitananda lived downstairs as their attendants, and they did all her errands. By the way, the Ramakrishna order owns that property, that Nilambar Babu's garden house. And you can go and visit that place where Holy Mother lived for so long, quite a while. You can go and visit. I don't know what the rules are now. They were very relaxed in 1999 when I went. But it's really quite a place to visit because you can say that the mother's scent is still there. Mother lived on the 2nd floor with Golap Ma and Yogan Ma. Swamis Yogananda and Trigunatitananda lived downstairs as her attendants and did all her errands. The Ramakrishna Mat was then at Alam Bazar. I joined them. I joined there. Oh, this is Virajananda speaking. I joined there and went to visit the mother, which was my 2nd meeting with her. I prostrated at her feet, and she asked me to stay there that night. The next morning, when I was about to take leave, she said to me affectionately, "My son, this time I am very much pained to see you. What a nice, plump body you had previously. Repeated attacks of malarial fever have now brought your health to such an emaciated condition. Well, you have joined the monastery, but you know those people there are penniless fakirs." Fakir doesn't mean anything negative. It just means, a kind of mendicant, a kind of, anyway, it doesn't mean anything bad. How can they procure the requisite nutritious food for you? What necessary care for your health is possible there? So I suggest that you go back to your home and stay there till you regain your health with proper diet and medicine. I was least prepared for these words of the mother. Astounded, I couldn't utter anything for some time. After a while I said, "Mother, you're asking me to go home? What shall I do there?" She replied, "You spend your time practicing meditation, japa, worship, and studying the scriptures." Coming downstairs, I could not hold back my tears. I went to a secluded corner of the garden and wept bitterly. Swami Yogananda heard the whole story from Golapma about me. He consoled me and asked, "Have you received any initiation?" "No, I have not," I replied. "Then why did you not ask the mother why did you not ask the mother what meditation and japa you were to do at home?" asked Yogananda. "Well, ask her tomorrow after your bath." Those words of the Swami were to me a revelation. I did not know till then that the mother would give initiation to anybody. However, as per the instructions of Yogananda, I went to the mother the next morning after she had finished her worship and put to her the tutored question. I guess that's what that says, the tutored question. The mother then initiated me formally. The mantra that she gave me for japa and meditation was not in tune with the particular aspect of sadhana I had been following. So I was a little confused and asked her openly, "Mother, I've been meditating on God in such and such a manner, and that gives me great satisfaction. Now, my son, what you have received from me is better for you," was her short reply. How strange. I felt within myself an instantaneous transformation of my outlook on sadhana. I spent the whole day at the mother's place before my evening departure for the Alambazar Mat. It was July, right in the middle of the rains in Bengal. The Ganges was full to the brim. A thick mist had enveloped the atmosphere, and the evening darkness was to follow soon. It was drizzling. Suddenly I felt a sob deep in my heart. The gloomy, inclement weather outside represented my state of mind. With a heavy heart, I went to the mother and said, "Mother, I will take leave of you." "Yes, my son," she said, "it is time." "Well, come here now and then. See that the body gets strong." She then touched my chin by way of motherly blessing. I went out of the house and got on the boat at the ferry ghat close by. The boat, plying northwards, passed in front of the garden house. In that background of twilight, I looked at the mother's room on the terrace. She was standing on the open terrace with her gaze fixed toward the Ganges on the boat. As long as the house was visible from the boat, I saw her in the same position. My heart surged with emotion, and tears came in profusion. Later, I learned that Golap Ma had protested her standing that way in the drizzling rain, but she said with tearful eyes, "Oh, I am thinking how very sad the boy must be feeling. I am thinking how very sad the boy must be feeling. So I am looking at him." This often happened when people were leaving Jairambati also, or Udbodhan. They would see Mother standing on the terrace when they were leaving of Bodhan, or they would see Mother follow them down the road for a ways as they left Jairambati and stand there looking after them for as long as she could see them. So we've got just a few minutes left. Are there any comments or questions? Anything at all anyone would like to say about all this remarkable material we've read? I spoke with a devotee earlier today, and that devotee was telling me how actively the mother's protection is felt, and how there is a feeling of relationship with her, of conversation, not conversation in words, because that's of the left mind, but conversation of the heart as she takes refuge with the mother. And so all of this is not something that just happened up until 1920. The mother is still very, very much with us. And I meant it when I said the miracle of this little place, the miracle of this little place. It sustains itself by the grace of the devotees. We lack for nothing. It's the mother and the master's grace. There's no two ways about it. And it's felt. It's felt from the pictures. It's felt from the worship that's done and the relationship with them. Any little thing that you do at home that promotes that feeling of relationship with either the master or mother, they are, as was said earlier again, even this evening, they are identical. It's been said many times in this book, but they are identical. Two halves, so to speak, of one being. Ishwar is genderless. When it takes manifestation as Ishwari and Ishwara, it becomes the mother and the father. but it's just Ishwar. It's just the great cause, the primal energy in manifestation. And since we see the rest of manifestation around us, is there any reason for us to doubt that the primal energy is with us and is the cause of all this also? No reason for us to doubt that for a moment. Anything at all from anyone before we close?
Yes, Brother Shankara.
Yes, Aaron.
Yes, I would just like to elaborate real quickly on one of your points. You mentioned like the power of the pictures of the holy ones, and I found that lately, like haven't had much time for like doing my mantra or doing meditation, but I've been carrying around a picture of like Ramakrishna as I've like been doing my activities throughout the day, and so it's been really beneficial for me to have that, even though I haven't been doing my meditation as much.
Well, for you to return to doing your japam will be beneficial, but in the meantime, by all means, keep the master's picture with you. I'll tell you a lovely story. There are pictures of the master that are printed on little metal plates. You can buy them through the St. Louis Center and other places. They've been around for a long, long time. Swami Prabhavananda, who headed the Vedanta Society of Southern California from 1929 to July 4th, 1976, once went to Paris by invitation. And he took with him his attendant, his sevak, who was an American, a Bostonian by heritage, who had become Swami Krishnananda. And as they were going around and seeing the sights of Paris, Swami Krishnananda had that little metal picture of Thakur in his hand. And he would take it out of his pocket and he would show the master what they were seeing. This is how much he believed that the master's presence was in that picture. The master's presence was in that picture. And so he was showing them when they were at the Place de la Concorde, when they went up the Eiffel Tower, and so on. There are actually photographs taken of. You had to be quick to take a picture of Swami Krishnananda. He would turn away. But there are actually pictures taken of him holding this little metal picture of Sri Ramakrishna and showing him the sights of Paris. So yes, there's power in the pictures.
So like in any activity we do, like whether it just be leisurely, we can offer it to the master and have him in our presence while we engage in this.
That is what promotes, that is what creates that sense of relationship, is by thinking that they're with you all the time and offering everything that you are doing and seeing and experiencing, offering it to them. Krishna talks about that in the Gita in some detail. We'll talk about that on the 28th of February, chapter 4 of the Gita. Yes, Aaron, the relationship is there. And we can foster that relationship by bringing them to mind. Recollectedness is the great power. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Abhirabhirmoiti. O dearly beloved Lord, lead us from this thy apparent truth to thy highest and eternal, unchanging truth. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through, light us through and through, with thy everlasting, shining presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May you be safe. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. Go forward in the Mother's loving and protective embrace. Any final thought from anyone? Anything to say? All right, good night, dears. So glad you were with us.
Thank you, Brother Shankar.
It's always so sweet to be with you. Until tomorrow night, when we study Jnana Yoga. And Swayam, so glad you were with us, you and Naveen.
Yes.
Glad you're home safely, dear. Be a poster child for recovery. Do everything that they told you to do. I'm sure you know that. I'm just repeating what I was told when when I had my cabbage. So until next time. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Good night.